Commission meeting to order. Roll call.
Guy Johnson, Nate Piotrowski, Deanna Wickland,
Here.
Michael Marr,
Here.
Leah Blankenship, here, Tim Hansman,
Here.
Chris Gallagher, Barbara Kylie Miller, here, Eric Kudo.
Here.
All right, next item of business is the approval of the February 27th, 2018 meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any discussion or comments? Hearing none. A vote. Ayes. Approved.
Approved.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously approved the minutes. Next item, statement of public notice. Is this meeting been properly noticed?
Yes.
Next item is discussion and recommendation of a certified survey map for the separation of the existing lot into two separate lots at the residential property, 2106 East Wood Place, property owner David and Gretchen Keating.
Sure, thanks. I can present a brief synopsis as based on the memo for the project. So Sawfish General Contracting, on behalf of property owners David and Gretchen Keating, applied for a certified survey map for the Plan Commission to review and recommend the comment, or for the village board for approval. The CSM proposes to split the lot currently located at 2106 East Wood Place into two lots of record for the eventual purpose of developing an additional single-family home. Based on the requirements within the Village Code, Chapter 470, subdivision and land divisions, the CSM first went to the village engineer, who then passed it over to planning and development for further review. We also sent it to the county register of deeds for verification of specifications. We did review the CSM and note the following. The property is currently zoned R6, which has a minimum lot width of 40 feet and minimum lot area of 4,500 square feet. The proposed lots conform to both standards. The front yard setback of the existing house, which is scheduled to remain as is 22.8 feet, which technically does not conform to the 25-foot required setback. However, village code related requirements and land divisions other than subdivisions states that to the extent reasonably practicable, the plat shall comply with the provisions of the code or all other applicable laws related to the general requirements and design standards and required improvements. In consultation with the village attorney, staff does not believe required conformance to the required front yard setback would be reasonably practicable, and is recommending approval of the CSM as submitted with the 22.8 foot setback. The district's required side yards are 3 feet. The existing house would conform to that with the proposed split. Additional standards within the Wisconsin Certified Survey Map checklist provided by the state, including required language and signatures, was reviewed and found to be in conformance, except for an update reference to Chapter 8 of the Shorewood Village Code. Since the time of the publication of this memo, the surveyor has provided staff with an updated certified survey map, fixing all of the notations that were noted within the review. So staff does have a clean copy of the certified survey map with all proposed changes made, and we are recommending approval based on that proposed submitted revision.
Comments or questions?
And I should note the applicant is here as well if there's any questions.
You want to say anything? Yeah.
Only if you have any questions, folks.
Good.
I was just curious from a historical point of view, was it two lots that were combined? Or was it always one single lot?
I don't think it was ever two lots.
There's
It
no
was always
history.
one large lot?
There's a handful of lots like this still within Shorewood, so it's possible this could happen again with a different lot, but there are a handful of larger lots with historically one home developed on them.
It looks like, okay, so the existing driveway will go to lot number 2 of the new house. And then will a new driveway be built between the existing dwelling and the east lot line?
Yes.
And my other question was, so lot number 1 is 67, a little more than a half foot. Lot number 2 is 16 1/4 feet. And I was curious about the lot widths on the rest of the block. So I was going to ask you what they were, but I just went to Google satellite street map, and they're about the same widths as these new reconfigured lots. Is that about right?
Correct. Yep, it generally conforms to the neighborhood block.
Robert Nash with Sawfish.
Hearing no other questions, is there a motion to approve the request?
Yeah, was there a proposed language
Second
in here?
page of the memo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go for it. I move to recommend approval by the village board, of the village board and the plan commission of the proposed certified survey map for the separation of the existing lot at residential property 2106 Eastwood Place into two separate lots. Through non-hearing conditions.
Second.
Just a clarification, the village board does approve the certified survey map, so as written, I was requesting the plan commission to recommend approval by the village board of the certified survey map, just to clarify. The plan commission recommends approval of the village board by final approval, so just, that's where that motion is coming in.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Our next item is public hearing and consideration of conditional use application for the construction of a river district repairing trail to be located at the existing county-owned parkland at the southwest intersection of East Capitol Drive and North Estabrook Parkway and the existing Village of Shorewood owned properties at 3905 North Estabrook Parkway, 3907 North Estabrook Parkway, and 3565 North Morris Boulevard. Why don't we start off with a staff summary and then we'll open the public.
Okay. And as you're familiar, I'm relatively new to the position. This is a long-standing project the village has supported through various other previous approvals and reviews. I'll briefly go over aspects of the memo, but I look forward to continued discussion regarding other history that I might not be aware of. So, as per the 2006 Village of Shorewood Central District Master Plan, the bluff area along the Milwaukee River south of Capitol Drive was slated to be improved walking trails, viewing areas, eradication of invasive species, better river access, and enhanced native plant species. The village led the way in shoreline protection as part of this process. With the establishment of the Milwaukee Greenway Plan, this area and Howard Park were identified as a critical connection along the east side of the river. In anticipation of future private redevelopment of the area east of the bluff, the village developed and approved a B4 River District riparian restoration and trail planning and design project in 2009. Public outreach efforts were completed during the preparation of the conceptual plan to gather feedback on concepts and collaboratively discuss the trail and restoration efforts. Several stakeholder meetings were held through telephone interviews, individual meetings, and one large group meeting. A public meeting was held on March 2nd, 2009 to present a draft of the conceptual plan after initial review by the village. Attendees generally had a very positive impression of the plan, but also provided valuable feedback that was incorporated into the final plan. The project was also incorporated into the village's Comprehensive Plan 2030, which was adopted on January 18th, 2011. The plan specifically states that the village should implement recommendations in the 2009 River Riparian and Trail Plan and support the 2010 Milwaukee River Greenway Master Plan. The village subsequently applied for and received DNR stewardship grants to implement the plan, but was unable to execute the grant within the time frame because it did not own the bluff portion of the area. Since that time, the village has been transferred ownership of the bluff through several developer agreements, both with Harbor Chase and the Oaks, which then allowed the village to pursue the project. Although the adopted plan is quite detailed, it does not contain full engineering details, so the village contracted out for engineering design services by an RFP in 2016 and ultimately hired Merrick to design plans for the trail's construction. Another RFP was issued in 2017 for the construction of the trail, and Blaze Landscape Contracting was selected. Construction and trail completion is now taking place in 2018. The project's land use permit to confirm floodplain regulations was approved by Planning and Development Department on March 20th, 2017. As the progress progressed to construction phasing, the Planning and Development Department has been made aware of the work and noted that despite the lengthy history, public review, and numerous village approvals of the project, it had yet to receive a formal approval of a conditional use permit from the Plan Commission to perform the work within the river shoreline area as required by Chapter 535.9.8C. As required by 535.9.7, all work shall be certified by a professional engineer, and the village's engineer, Mustafa Emir of Clark Dietz, has provided such. The Wisconsin DNR and Army Corps of Engineers has also been involved with the review and approval of the project. I've also listed the conditions with which the Plan Commission would review a conditional use permit. So just as a brief history, Obviously, this project has been going on for several years. In my brief time here, it came to my desk, and just, crossing off the things that needed to be within the file for it to move forward. Our department noted that the conditional use permit, for whatever reason, hadn't been granted. If it had been discussed at the plan commission previously, I was unable to find it, but if there's larger history here, I'm happy to hear it. But just based on that and understanding that the construction was proceeding this year, I wanted to make sure the plan commission and the public hearing took place, that if any questions regarding the conditions 1 through 7 within the code were discussed in the public forum. So that's where my presentation, I guess, takes place. Just bring it here so that everyone, has the chance to review it.
Yes,
Just wondering if I
yeah,
could.
please.
Thank you, Chairman. This is the first conditional use permit application that the Plan Commission has taken up since a recent change in the law that was made by the legislature. And I just wanted to point out a couple of things that impact the decision-making process. There's really two basic changes, and the first one is pretty straightforward. The first change says that a decision to grant or deny a conditional use permit must be based on what they call substantial evidence. And substantial evidence is actually defined in the statute, and it means facts and information other than merely personal preferences or speculation directly pertaining to the requirements and conditions an applicant must meet to obtain a conditional use permit, and that reasonable persons would accept in support of the conclusion. And my experience with this group is that they've always had great discussion and debate on conditional use applications, and that in the history of working with this group, I believe that all of their decisions have always been made on substantial evidence. But to ensure that that's recorded, I think that if a motion is made to either grant or deny, I think you should use the term of art that we find that there is substantial evidence to either grant or deny, and I think that will reflect in the minutes. There's one other change that they've made that's a little more significant, and I've talked with a number of other municipal attorneys around the state about how exactly this impacts what we do and why, and how we may or may not change our approach, and we're still developing, we're still working our way through that. But this is what the new statute says. It says if an applicant for a conditional use permit meets or agrees to meet all of the requirements and conditions specified in the village ordinance or those imposed by the Plan Commission, the village shall grant the conditional use permit. Now, the ordinance that we're referring to in this particular case is included on page 2 of the memorandum that was provided to you, and that is under 535-20 or 535-25 sub C, and it talks about those terms and conditions. So that would suggest to me that the way that we're reading it is that it is permissible for the municipality to refer and rely upon those conditions that are enumerated in our ordinance, but a decision to grant or deny must be made upon substantial evidence. And if the applicant does agree to meet all of the conditions set that would be imposed by the Plan Commission here, that then the granting of a conditional use permit would be warranted. So it does change what we do a little bit, and we're in the process of reviewing comprehensively our entire conditional use section in the zoning code. I'm not convinced that we necessarily need to make any changes other than referencing the substantial evidence test, but we are still working our way through that. So I hope that helps with the analysis and the process. This is such a new change in the law that there's no case law out there further interpreting what substantial evidence means or how these particular new provisions that were adopted by the legislature would apply. So we're all kind of, all municipalities in the state are working their way through the same issue right now collectively.
So under evidence, let's say we were at the beginning of this project instead of towards the end, and we had a room full of villagers saying, we don't like this plan, and they all spoke against it, or they all spoke for it. is village opinion considered evidence? You know, the residents' opinions?
Well, that and that alone, my guess is the answer to that would be no, and here's why. My belief is that the change in the law was specifically undertaken because there was this reported Court of Appeals case that said that it was appropriate for a municipality to deny a conditional use permit on exactly that, which was the neighbor saying, we don't want it or we don't like it. And I believe that the law was changed in specific response to that Court of Appeals decision.
Okay, let's next open the public hearing. 6:45, I'll open the public hearing. Is there any